Welcome to the Cancer Journey
Hello,
podcast. I am Alicia,
and I'm Shariann.
and we're going to start with our PESH. Yeah?
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, I'll do it first. So physically, I am 8.3, emotionally 8.7, spirit 9, hope 9.5. And my word is possibilities.
Hmm.
How about you?
For me, okay. Physically, I am an 8. Emotionally, I am 7.5. Spiritually, I'm a 7.25. And hope is an 8.5, and my word is reconnecting.
I like doing that at the beginning of anything where I really need to focus. It's so grounding. And I'm glad that we created that to ground us.
Me too.
Okay.
I also like doing it at the beginning of all of these recordings and everything we do for our podcast because it lets me be really real.
Right.
And it lets me really like check in and get grounded. And that's what it's meant for. But it really does do that for me so I don't feel like I have to put on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me too. It makes me feel like I can find myself. And that's why closing my eyes really helps me. It's like, okay, in this moment, where am I from all those areas and perspectives? So yeah, okay, let's go. I'm ready for this topic. Actually, really excited about this topic.
Yeah. Go ahead, introduce it.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about what we like most from our Cancer Journey coach training programs. There's so many. So I know my head is already reeling about it, but it's fun to talk about like your favorite parts. Your favorites, anyways.
Absolutely. I mean, you learn so many tools and concepts throughout the coach training. And we have 2 main programs. So we have our fundamentals program, which is a 12-week kind of, not necessarily that it's shorter, but it's an overview. It's a big picture view of what we have to offer for our full coach training, which is our certification training. That is, I believe, 8 months. And both of them we meet once a week with this like really great group of people. Like you're all learning together, but you learn so many tools and concepts that during training, some of them like really speak to you, and then some of them, you have them in your back pocket when you need to use them, but maybe they're not the forefront and the first one you want to use because they don't resonate with you as much. But they're always ones that are really, really fun to start with. So I've been through both the fundamentals and certification myself. I am not yet quite certified, but soon I will be once I finish that road to certification portion of it. But you get so much out of just the experience and being in the training itself.
Yeah. So right off the bat, one of my favorite parts is that we start off with listening. And so I know people are like, oh yeah, I've learned active listening at work or somewhere. But the level of listening that we do is so deep and so broad and so instinctual. So when we talk about our listening techniques and we call it powerful listening, we really get into that 360, that everything around you is what you're listening for. It's not just somebody's words. It's like, it's their body.
And it's a noticing of the other person where they're at, and it's not just specific to being a coach and like actively coaching someone, but I would say the effect that powerful coaching has, people feel so heard.
Yes. So what I wanted to finish saying is body language and our intuition and what we're feeling, like that all comes into play when we're listening to somebody else. and that what you just said about really feeling seen, heard, and gotten.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what you see when somebody does really feel that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like this, okay, I feel safe. Oh, I feel heard. I feel gotten. And then there's this calm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this calm for both sides too, I would say, that the person who's being heard and the person who is listening, because you get to the same level of understanding and you use that powerful listening to get to that point. It's not just listening and being like, yeah, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, but it's really um showing the person not only that like you do know what they're saying, but also that you want to know what they're saying. You want to
Yeah.
understand as best you can where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And I so agree. That powerful listening, I feel like that's the one that like always comes up consistently. And it comes up everywhere. It's one of those ones too that once you bring those skills into your like everyday life, that you notice, and you notice the impact it has on the people around you as you're talking with them, because it becomes so natural the way you start to include it in your day-to-day life, because it makes you feel special. It makes you feel more special. um yeah, love it. Like, I love powerful listening.
Yeah. It's like that heart connection.
Hmm.
There's actually something magical when you do it the way that we do it, because all of a sudden everybody is like, their walls come down and
Yeah.
they're much more open. So
Yeah.
that's definitely one of my top favorites. What's one of yours?
um Gosh, there's like a lot of tools. I don't think we've ever counted how many tools we actually have in total, but because they're also so fluid, which is really wonderful, and makes them really easy to use, and like flex based on where your client is in that time. I remember the responsibility formula being one of my absolute favorites. Um and Gosh, I haven't used it in like a long time, so I definitely am a little pulled away from it, but I remember loving the responsibility formula and just the compassion that it offers for like yourself, and for um the past experience you have, because a lot of what we do does not focus on past experience. Um And so to have a moment to really reflect on that and show yourself compassion when you did not know what you know now, um, is really beautiful. And I think that there's this understanding with the responsibility formula that it's not like one and done, like
Right. Right.
it's a little baby journey within itself to be able to like have responsibility for something you did in the past, and forgive yourself now.
Right. It's the keep on giving tool.
Yeah.
I just did it with the current group of certified cancer journey coaches, and I mean it amazes me how everyone goes, oh.
Yeah.
I love that we secretly call, and we even said this to the group, it's your own your shit
Yeah.
formula.
Yeah.
It's like,
Definitely.
okay.
Yeah. And it's one that I mean, I think I always resonated with it. I think a lot of people, when they first experience the responsibility formula, it's like, oh, this feels silly, and it feels a little like fake to tell yourself that you forgive yourself. But it's the remembering, the coming back to it, and the having grace for yourself to really just like do it, just commit to it. It's not like you're
Right,
committing to
right,
something big to say I forgive myself. um,
right,
but it really does let you be a part of it without like blaming you for anything that happened.
and that's why I love it so much. Well, I know you brought it up as one of your favorites. I think I love every single one of our tools, but
I'm
there
sure
are,
you
you know,
do.
our favorites. And but that's part of why I love that one, because Yeah, it might feel silly for someone to say, I forgive myself. It shouldn't, but there's a lot of judgments that come with that.
Yes.
But the kindness that you get when you do that, I mean, for yourself, because I'm saying I forgive myself,
Hmm.
just lends itself to, oh, letting go of the shackles that you've tied yourself up
Hmm.
through, past experiences and that you carry forward. It's like,
Yes.
oh, this is how I let go of that.
Hmm.
And yeah, it might be silly the first time, but I think over time it's such a refreshing tool and
Hmm.
a go-to. I know we call it a workhorse, but it's like, oh, I can use this in this moment and then this moment. And then my client gets to learn it.
Yes. And I think it's a big expansion of this what we can versus what we cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
Which we don't really call it an umbrella by any means, but we have a couple exercises that are for can and cannot control. Um, and I think this lends itself to that as well. It does dip into kind of the um, I don't want to say that it's past trauma necessarily because that we're not going all the way there. I think that that's a little bit more of a therapy perspective to see it in that way and to be kind of flushing out what happened in the past. Like we're not doing that particularly with the responsibility formula. We're acknowledging that that happened in the past and we are looking at it, but we're looking at what we can do with it now and where we are now
Yes.
and what we notice from what happened then and what we want to do differently now or how we just want to choose to acknowledge it because it's not about a
Yes.
solve, it's not about a fix, um, and it's always going to be a process. You know, just because you notice it now doesn't mean you'll notice it every single instance that that event in the past kind of happened again, or like similar circumstances came up and you reacted some sort of way. But it's that compassion for like knowing that you did react at some point and wanting to do something different and taking control and ownership of the fact that you can do that, you can be that change.
Right. Right. So now you're speaking to another part of my favorites. Like, it just kind of leads into it, which is having our what do I want to say? Having our trainees and our coaches know what it means to stand in your powerful self,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
also that's the big goal
Hmm.
for our clients, which is let's shine the light on who you are in your powerful self. What
Hmm.
is that? And then helping them stand in that again and again and again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And your powerful self is not your most perfect self. It is not
No.
the better self of you ever like has ever been. Like your most powerful self is whatever you decide that is right now and whatever you really want. Um and so knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect, I also think that's what I love about responsibility formula because no one's perfect and I know I personally have struggled with like the whole perfection thing for a lot of time, but it gives so much ease that like, well, you can't change what happened in the past. That's not going to be perfect, and you're not going to be perfect moving forward either. You can continue to have grace for yourself in that space.
Right. Well, that's part of what makes us powerful is our imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're not cookie cutter people.
Yeah.
Everybody is different.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say powerful, I'm not talking about, strength or power over. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about who am I so that I can stand powerfully. So if we have any Ted Lasso watchers, I think of Rebecca when I think it's like the last scene or the second to the last episode.
Spoilers.
And yeah, oh, spoiler alert, sorry. but she sees her little self, her young self, and she realizes that that's not going to serve her. It's not serving her in this situation, or really and ever, but it's not serving her. And she has this way of getting into her powerful self. And I thought about that yesterday and thought, oh, I need to do that. Because it's first it's remembering. And then second, it's connecting with that part of you that feels solid and knowing and trusting and
Mhm.
like believing in yourself. But it's the act that she does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and we do. You find that everyone does it differently. Everyone's gonna
Mm-hmm.
find what makes them feel most powerful and how to gather those resources of their own internal resources, and be able to really, like you said, trust. I think that's like the biggest word for me is to trust yourself, because we often, it seems easier to put that trust in anyone else, anywhere else, but really the only person who's going to give you the power is you. So when you
Right.
trust the power that you have, you're unstoppable.
So
Who's gonna
that energy, the energy you're feeling right now, that is attracting energy, right?
Mhm.
It's an enlivening energy. And so when, especially through the cancer journey and after, when you feel unstoppable,
Mhm.
what is possible, ooh, my word, possibilities, what's possible is everything.
Yeah.
Magic. I
Yeah.
mean, okay, so for the audience who are like, oh, what are you doing with this magic thing? But magic happens.
Yeah. And it comes back to that trust as well, right? And that trust and authenticity to yourself. Like, anything is possible because you're claiming everything that you have that is real and true to you. And so it becomes that law of attraction, because when you hold on to what you know and who you are, and you have that trust to like even play around with what you have and know, venture into what you don't, and then realize what's right for you, and have that exploration for yourself to really feel solid in what you need and what you want. Um, what you ask for can never be inauthentic to you, because it's coming
Right.
from a place of knowing what's real and what resources you have. You can only attract things that are meant for you in that way. Because if I was like, I'm not a sports person. If I was really trying to join a sports team or something, but that doesn't resonate with me because I'm not a sports person, but I was like trying to crawl my way through, like maybe my motivation could get me somewhere. Maybe. But at the end of the day, any result that comes out of that would not resonate with me because that's not authentically myself. Like, and if I got an award for like being on a sports team or like won a bunch of championships, it wouldn't be nearly as like rewarding or fulfilling for myself, because that's not authentic to me.
Right. Okay. So I learned a statistic just yesterday, and,
Mhm.
and I believe it, but I actually think that it's higher with cancer individuals. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. But the statistic was 79% of our population are not clear on who they are.
Mm.
They're still searching, they're still wondering. And I think that number has got to be over 80%, maybe 85 when it's we're talking about cancer, because you go through this traumatic, challenging journey,
Hmm.
and it really does rock you to your core. So
Yeah.
not only, physically, it's the other stuff, the stuff that we work on, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And so if they're searching, where they go, and that's what I love about all the tools and the concepts and the skills that our coaches learn, is that they learn how to shepherd
Hmm.
the patient, the survivor, the caregiver through their journey. And that's what we're talking about. It's that
Yeah.
finding themselves
Yes.
and being excited and feeling powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that word in the way that we say it.
I so agree. I so agree. And while the powerful self isn't necessarily a tool we use, it is a very big outcome of what we produce. And what our coaches and what we do, even through our trainings, to help people find their powerful self, is it's like this reclaiming, right? And it's totally easier said than done. And that's why we're like here with everyone, with our community of coaches, our coaches to support our clients. Like we are one big community that supports each other in that growth because you can't do it alone. We've said that before. You cannot do it alone. And going through a cancer journey, no matter how much you know, no matter no matter how much you know, even if like people have been with us for years and years and years, they're really strong coaches. They help their clients transform, and then they go through another or their own cancer journey in a different way than they have before. They can start to lose sight of that powerful self when they
Yeah.
don't reconnect with the resources and the community that's here. And like, it's easy to start to internalize that and pull away. And while I completely understand that that can feel like a natural reaction, um, to be embraced by a community that really hears and sees you and champions you to um, continue to figure out what your purpose is, your new purpose is, who this new you with this new experience, with this new information, this new evolution, like who that is. Because everyone is continuing to grow. Everyone's continuing to learn and take new experiences and add them to the person that they are. So it's important to continue working on that journey and having a place that embraces you and allows you to do that, and maybe even provides a bit of a challenge for you and asks you to forgive yourself, even if it feels silly, because that's kind of where it needs to start sometimes.
Right. To do the experiment, to play, to add play in life. So I think we can end here with the kind of summation of, on the surface, as we started, we're a training and coaching organization.
Mm-hmm.
But really, underneath, we're a learning and discovering company, and especially for our coaches, our coach trainees, because everything that they would ever use or deliver to their client, they have to experience themselves. So they're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
going through the process and the tools, and they can say, oh, I know what the impact of that is. I know what it feels like to have that particular tool used, especially the responsibility formula. And it's like, oh, so I know, I've discovered, I've grown. And so now I get to bring this to my clients.
Yes. Yeah. And you felt the impact of it, which is it's so necessary and needed. And I think also, we are a training company and a coaching company, but like what we really do is we provide that like warm space, that really comfortable, hopefully very cozy feeling space to return to whenever you need to, whether it's a good day or a bad day. We're not here to judge anyone where they're at, but we're here to help everyone grow and
Yeah,
hold space for what's needed in this moment. Because in this moment versus yesterday's moment versus tomorrow's moment, it could be different.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what's your takeaway from today's discussion?
Yeah. My takeaway, it's very common for our coaches who have trained with us to feel this way, but like, gosh, I miss being in the training programs and
Mm,
like being there with my team that I know is going to be there every week. It's like such a cool little cohort that you get to know, and you connect with, yes, once a week for our like formal content sessions and for the program, but also meeting with my buddy and like having conversations or questions that come up, and just being so like embraced and surrounded by this energy constantly, that even when I'm away from it, it's like I'm thinking about it. It's like it's sitting with me. The knowledge is like it's the wheels are turning, even though maybe I don't understand the concept 100% right away, right? Like it's baking in there. Um, and it's just such a place that I miss, honestly.
and
um,
your word for right now?
my word is warmth.
Okay. All right. My takeaway, not that I need to be reminded, but when I talk about it, and when I'm there leading the program. I love this work. And I could feel it. I mean, just talking about it takes me there.
Mhm.
And I know that some people seek personal growth and some people don't, but we're growing beings. And so just last line, that's what I'm taking away is we're learning, growing beings, and that this is a place to do it. So
Yeah.
my word is growing.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
See you then.